I want you to close your eyes for a second, and I want you to envision a professional. Seriously, what do you think about? Do you picture someone in a gray suit or a navy suit, maybe even a tan suit if you're feeling a little crazy? Why does this feel less professional than this? Most of us have the answer in our head, but we may not actually understand why we have this vision of professionalism. Hi, my name's Miranda. I study the psychology and history of the workplace because I think that better understanding where we came from in professionalism will help us understand where we're going, and it'll help us better impact change for our future. These color choices that are associated with professionalism actually started in the late 1800s, early 1900s with men's workwear. After the Industrial Revolution, we have men working in finance, working in law, and they are expected to follow a traditional uniform. And no one exactly knows why, but part of the premise is that a uniform states, I belong here. It also states, I'm a part of something bigger, and individuality is left at home. If men's workwear has always been beige, what is the history of women's workwear? When women entered the workforce in the 1940s during World War II, they were expected to look professional, but still feminine. There wasn't a lot of color in the workplace during that time, but that really had more to do with the rationing of clothing going on in the World War II era. Women were expected to wear bright red lipstick in support of the United States during war times. Then, in the 1940s, as we know, after World War II ended, women were expected to go back into the homes and support their husbands. So you saw the return of more feminine silhouettes being pushed. And I actually have some images of the famous articles that kind of pushed this aesthetic. Not all women stopped working. That's where one of my favorite shows comes in, Mad Men. If you think about it, the men in the 1960s show Mad Men were always wearing almost interchangeable clothing items, blue suits, gray suits, a white collared shirt. But if you think about Peggy, Joan, if you think about the secretaries, they were all wearing color within the workforce. If you picture Peggy or Joan in Mad Men, neither one of them wore plain clothing. Of course, their style choices were much different, but thinking of Joan off the top of, she was an office manager. She had authority within her workplace, and we constantly see her wearing reds and teals and florals. And so that was a part of the expectation during that time. You were expected to look polished and feminine, sometimes down to the point of matching your lip color to your nail polish. In the late 1970s and 80s, when more women were entering the workplace, they used structured blazers and shoulder pads to emulate power by taking some fashion tips from their masculine counterparts. This is the time period where the integration of masculine and feminine expectations for dress kind of start to combine. This is the time period where the integration of masculine and feminine expectations for dress kind of start to combine. Something that is frequently addressed in magazines and even in famous movies like this one. I know you know what I'm talking about. And in the 1990s, business casual became more popular. So what I've learned is that the expectation of professionalism has changed over time, but now whenever we think about professionalism, we think about different types of workplaces. Someone that works in a law firm versus someone who works at a nonprofit may have completely different expectations for professional dress. Does my colorful makeup and clothing make me less of a professional? Does it take away from years of education, training, and experience? Because let's be honest, what I'm wearing really has nothing to do with how good I am at my job. I can't look at someone in a $1,000 suit and say, yes, absolutely, they're much better than me at my job. So, an interviewer looking at me with my colorful makeup, hair, nails, and suit may not be actively judging me based on my appearance. They may have just accidentally done something that's called a schema. A schema is a framework that our brains use in order to put people into different categories to make decisions quickly. We do this as humans not because we're lazy, but because our brains are constantly trying to filter through tons and tons of stimuli. Dress and makeup and silhouettes has always been changing based on the times. What changes do you expect to see in the future? Do you think that there are certain things that should stay? Or do you think we should completely wipe the slate clean and completely start over with what we believe professionalism is? What workplace norms have you gone on with without questioning them? And are there any topics that you would like to explore further? Make sure to leave them in the comments below and like and subscribe if you want to see more videos about the history and psychology of why we work the way we do.